Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a whole lot to talk about, and it's happening. It's happening slowly but surely. It's happening. And I've been saying this for a long time. I have been saying this endlessly. By the way, check out my latest article, Eric H526. Thank you. How the Green New Deal would exploit poverty-stricken people across the globe. This is the Federalist. Very proud to be published in the Federalist. I explain how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal would negatively impact, would decimate even communities in the Congo and in other regions of the world that mine cobalt and lithium. The majority of the world's cobalt is found in the Congo, where you have radioactive mines. You have mines, some of which are radioactive, actually, and there's zero safety standards. You have people suffering. You have pollution, water pollution, environmental pollution of all different sorts in the Congo and in other countries, but mainly the human toll, the human cost. People are suffering, and they're giving their lives to obtain and to mine these minerals for your smartphone, and of course your green technology. There's nothing green about electric car batteries, especially the mining of cobalt and lithium. Devastating political and social and health consequences in the Congo that the people of the Congo are experiencing because of the fact that cobalt is needed for electric car batteries. This is interesting, very interesting. Graham vows to investigate whether bureaucratic coup tried to oust Trump. Now, this is the Washington Post. To my super chat, thank you so very much. You give me every incentive to continue rocking these live streams. I love the interaction with viewers, and it's awesome. Senator Lindsey Graham, this is today. This is like an hour ago. Senator Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, vowed on Sunday to investigate whether top officials of the Justice Department and F.B.I. plotted an attempted bureaucratic coup to remove President Trump from office. By the way, when he says at the Justice Department, who was Attorney General Mr. Trust Sessions? He's not going to investigate a bureaucratic coup when Loretta Lynch was there because President Obama was in office. The same people who said Trust Sessions presided over a DOJ that tried to use the 25th Amendment, and that was Rod Rosenstein and Andrew McCabe's idea. Sessions was completely powerless, or in on it, who knows? But the last person you should have trusted was Sessions or Huber. Senator Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, vowed on Sunday to investigate whether the top officials of the Justice Department and the FBI plotted an attempted bureaucratic coup to remove President Trump from office, and said he would subpoena the former FBI director and the deputy attorney general if necessary. It's going down, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot have, and I've been saying this from day one, they framed Trump to cover up Clinton transferring top secret intelligence from and special access program intelligence. And I'm telling you, it's going down. I've been saying this, and it's happening. Look, all you needed was an attorney general who would look at the facts. You don't even need a loyalist. You don't even need a loyalist. You don't need a Trump loyalist. You need somebody, hopefully, look, am I 100% certain that William Barr is going to clean everything up and indict people who need to be indicted, namely Clinton and everyone else around her? No, I'm not 100% certain, no. But we are the closest, we are at the closest point to actual justice we've ever been since Trump has been in office. The closest point. We have never been this close. We have never been this close, ladies and gentlemen. So, I mean, you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where they tried to use the 25th Amendment simply because they didn't like someone's personality, allegedly. Oh my God, he's crazy. Oh my God, look what he's doing. Simply saying that we are suspicious is not justification. You cannot legitimize your suspicions. You need evidence. You know how many millions of people are suspicious of Hillary Clinton? And yet she's gotten away with everything, overt crimes. Suspicion is not a reason. So they hide behind suspicion. What they do is a it's a public relations, it's an overt public relations ploy. They say, well, oh my God, we were so suspicious that Trump was working on behalf of Russian interests. Yet President Obama came into office with a Russian reset. Weekend at Ginsburg. Okay, thank you very much. She is alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is alive. And if she retires, we'll get Amy Coney Barrett, hopefully. But don't believe the hype. My God almighty. If it's not one thing, it's another. But thank you. Weekend again. Yeah. I don't have to prove it. You don't have to prove someone's alive. That doesn't mean anything. Prove Trump is alive. Prove this. Prove the who. How do you prove anything? Oh, how do you know? You're watching TV. It could have been reruns of Trump. That could have been edited. I mean, how do you know? It's like, all right, Mr. Graham, Republican of South Carolina, was reacting to an interview in which the former FBI director Andrew McCabe confirmed an earlier New York Times report that the Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein had suggested wearing a Mr. President, what do you think of Russia? Just speak into no, I'm fine. Just it's my shirt. It's a new type of shirt. Yeah. What was that? Mr. Graham, Republican of South Carolina, was reacting to an interview in which the former FBI director Andrew McCabe confirmed an earlier New York Times report that the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein had suggested wearing a wire in meetings with Mr. Trump, and that Department of Justice officials in the trust sessions had discussed recruiting cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office. They haven't stopped. They haven't stopped. They're like, oh, we lost the election. There's always the 25th Amendment. Mr. President, you're looking wonderful today. What was that? Mr. Rosenstein has disputed the account. Yeah, I think he basically McCabe is going to indict. There's a person named Indictments. Yeah, indictments. Thank you for watching. Look, what they did was they lost the election after cheating Bernie Sanders, and then that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. So then they fabricated Trump Russia with zero evidence, which is absurd because Putin wouldn't hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, thus giving swing states to Trump, but the popular vote to Clinton. It makes no sense. Now, McCabe is spilling the beans on everyone. McCabe and Comey are the biggest enemies on the planet right now. Do you know who Andrew McCabe dislikes more than Trump? James Comey. Because James Comey actually offered on CNN to testify against Andrew McCabe regarding his criminal investigation and criminal referral from the IG. This is the best thing ever. When it goes down, oh my God, it'll be the soundtrack will be Backstabbers. It'll be that song from the OJs, I believe. It'll be that song that they're going to backstab each other. It's going to be amazing. And what's taking place is this, ladies and gentlemen. They set up Trump. That didn't work because they had no evidence. So at the end of the day, they had no evidence. But what they've done is they covered up Clinton's crimes, but Clinton committed so many crimes that they had to write the Comey letter. And even that didn't work because we're finding out new crimes. We're finding out for the past 2 years that she had more classified intelligence on Anthony Weiner's laptop, outside the U.S. government, a whole bunch of things that Judicial Watch found, including intent, where she says, oh, yeah, despite the warnings of security hawks. So Judicial Watch finds a quote from Clinton. Okay, hold on one second. New Hillary Clinton email admitting, this is in 2017, against the advice of security hawks. So she admits intent. She writes to government. This is actually to Arnold Schwarzenegger as chief of staff. Against the advice of the security hawks, I still do carry my berry. There you go. Against the advice of security hawks. She was warned, but I'm prohibited from using it in my office where I spend most of my time, and I'm not on plane or in a no coverage country. That's it. I mean, this is a 2009 article. This is a 2009. This is when she was using her private server, by the way, against the advice of security hawks. Okay, against the advice of security hawks, I still do carry my berry. She transferred top secret intelligence. This is this is beyond criminal. Like, it's the worst thing you could ever, like. She committed so many crimes. Rolf Foos. And so excuse me. So what they did was they set up Trump. That didn't work because they had no evidence. They had no evidence. So what they did was they wanted to actually remove him from office using the 25th Amendment with his own Department of Justice. His own Department of Justice plotting with Andrew McCabe and the FBI to remove him from office. Meanwhile, everyone's like, oh my God, you fired Comey, obstruction of justice. How could it obstruct justice, number one, if it's his right to do so? And Andrew McCabe was just as interested in removing Trump as Comey. Comey didn't have any evidence that anyone else had. So removing him from the equation was not obstruction of anything. Because then you got Andrew McCabe, whose wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe. And they were all in on it. You still had Peter Strzok. You had Peter Strzok on the Mueller probe. You had all the cast of characters. This is so overt. They didn't even hide. They didn't even hide. It's basically like a bank robber that is basically calling the police and saying, oh, by the way, I'm going to rob this bank. And then, it's essentially what took place. They're telegraphing everything. They telegraphed everything. This is nothing. Look, if the tables were turned, they would put their thinking caps on, the media, and they would say, oh my God, this is an actual. They're trying to remove the president here. This is like essentially a coup, a bureaucratic coup. They used bureaucracy. They used bureaucracy. They used bureaucracy to set up and frame Trump, to cover up Clinton's crimes. And now they tried to use bureaucracy to oust, basically remove a duly elected president. And that's what took place. And now everything for the next 2 years before the election is going to be revealed. The treachery, the corruption is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. The treachery and the corruption is not sustainable, ladies and gentlemen. You can't, this is unsustainable. You cannot sustain this. Thank you, Ramla Farah. Thank you. Patriot 95. Thank you. And I agree with you. Boxer pause. Trump should pardon Manafort. Exactly. Trump should pardon everyone who, and then, you know what? Let them steam over it. Let the mainstream media spew and just tear their hair out in frustration. See, so what did Manafort do that was Trump Russia? You went after him for a purpose of Trump Russia. That's it. How many people in Clinton's sphere, if you went after them, would have done even worse? Uma Abedin, for one. Anthony Weiner, another person. And then you have a Democratic. I suspect that I don't think this frankly rises to the level of some deep state conspiracy or a serious attempt at what Senator Graham called an administrative coup. I suspect that once this is fully discussed, it'll be clear that this was a brief or passing conversation that's been taken out of context. Oh my God. McCabe stated that they wanted to do. McCabe has nothing to lose now. And he'll sing a lot more when he gets indicted, because he will. There was a referral for Andrew McCabe. A referral. Criminal referral. Okay, criminal referral. Andrew McCabe, criminal referral from the IG. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Andrew McCabe, criminal referral. Andrew McCabe, criminal referral sent to U.S. Attorney. U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. The Justice Department's Office of Inspector General has sent a criminal referral regarding Andrew McCabe, the former deputy FBI director. Lied under oath 3 times. Both the OIG and FBI OPR reports concluded that Mr. McCabe had made unauthorized disclosures to news media and lacked candor, including under oath on multiple occasions. This guy should have been indicted already, and he will be eventually. DOJ watchdog finds McCabe made decisions designed to advance his personal interests at the expense of department leadership. Department leadership. Department leadership. Who are they talking about at the expense of James Comey and James Baker, who also has a criminal investigation? He's the FBI legal counsel who agreed with me that Clinton should have been indicted. It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen. It's all going down. So there's a criminal referral on Andrew McCabe, because his actions, not only lying under oath, were designed to advance his personal interests at the expense of department leadership, meaning James Comey, meaning they hate each other. They probably were always frenemies, friends who were enemies, but they hated each other. The Journal reported in 2016, McCabe's wife received $675,000 in donations from Virginia Democratic Party and Common Good Virginia, a super PAC run by Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe. And they're like, oh my God, but she was exonerated beforehand. Does it matter? What do you think? These relationships are formed like overnight? Of course, he was going to play ball the whole time so they get money. Or what? It doesn't matter. There doesn't need to be a specific time frame for criminal behavior. Then you get the brainiacs who are like, Amazon paid zero in taxes. Okay, number one, AOC, like I explained yesterday, it says 107,000 direct and indirect jobs created. All of those people would have paid taxes, like you and me. Okay, you've done nothing for New York. Once again, if you're watching, let people know. If Amazon paid zero in taxes, let's just assume, for example, Amazon, let's say they paid zero in taxes. They actually say they paid hundreds of millions, but whatever. The study estimates Amazon headquarters would create more than 107,000 direct and indirect jobs and 186 billion to the gross state product. Not everything revolves around taxes, AOC and progressive pundits and advocates or whatever, activists. You're talking about economic growth in a community that would have received 25,000 jobs with $150,000 per year average annual salary in a community that had a 53,000 or 56,000, median income. Then, assuming that, well, Trump's going to go 8 years, but let's say after 2024, there's another Democrat that raises corporate taxes or whatever, then you would have corporate corporations like Amazon being taxed and not being able to get through the loopholes or whatever. Maybe they'd still be able to get through. They'd be taxed more. But this is a 10 to 20 to 30 year. It would have stayed there forever through various administrations with different tax codes. You have completely sabotaged New York. AOC completely, from just a basic economic viewpoint, hurt the community there. 107,000 jobs, 25,000. They wouldn't have gotten the $3 billion tax break if they didn't get to over 25,000 jobs. And the 8 million square feet was for 40,000 jobs. So forget about Amazon paying taxes. What about everyone else who would have had a job, money, wealth generated, and then they would have paid taxes? And at the end of the day, the Democratic study said even just with the city and state tax, because you have to pay city tax like L.A. in New York, you're still talking about billions of dollars in revenue. They couldn't get away from the city tax, or it'd be a lot harder to get away from the city tax. So it's like you're not teaching them anything. We showed them. It's like you didn't show them anything. They just went to another community and brought jobs there. And then rents would not necessarily have gone up because it's not, oftentimes people don't live in the location they work. So it's not set in stone that rents would have gone up. McCabe made the remarks in an interview with CBS program 60 Minutes, released in part on Thursday in advance of its full airing Sunday evening. He said Justice Department officials became so alarmed by Mr. Trump's decision in May 2017 to fire James Comey that they pursued the 25th Amendment. That is not, okay, again, this is a sophomoric, overt, blatant attempt and inexcusable attempt at justifying illegal behavior. You cannot say that you wanted to oust a duly elected president because his policies did not, or his decisions you didn't like. Okay? No one said we were going to oust President Obama after his military intervention destroyed Libya. Nobody said we're going to oust President Obama after he found out suddenly that Hillary Clinton, his Secretary of State, had used private email. Or when he fired General Stanley McChrystal, nobody said we're going to use the 25th Amendment. You cannot start an investigation or remove a president or do anything like that because you are suspicious or because you feel that, my goodness, how could anyone believe that James Comey should have been fired when even Democrats were calling for him to be fired. James Comey sunk Clinton. Clinton could have won the election were it not for the Comey letter. That's what really did it. And the Comey letter was a function of a failed cover-up. In 2016, right after the election, I wrote in the Daily Caller, it was a cover-up. And that's before 2 years of like everything we find out that it's a cover-up. It was a cover-up from the beginning, and it was an overt cover-up. But they can't, you just simply can't justify that type of behavior by saying, oh, well, we were worried. Graham calls McCabe comments beyond stunning as he threatens to subpoena James Comey. This is going to be a battle between Comey and McCabe. And you know who could win? McCabe. But there has to be an indictment. At the end of the day, McCabe could win because he probably doesn't even care about Clinton either. McCabe's going to spill all the information. All the information. To my super chat, thank you so very much. McCabe and Comey are at it. This is now the subplot. The subplot here is that McCabe has the information regarding James Comey. James Comey presided over an elaborate setup or cover-up, number one, and then setup of Trump. He had his underlings. He had people under him implement policies. And he had people hide behind bureaucracy. Well, we just have to follow this lead. We are suspicious. We have to follow this lead. It could have happened. That's not the way investigations are conducted. This is all illegal behavior. You cannot simply, and honestly, you don't need, and this is where we go, like we get to this, like, well, you need ironclad proof of illegal behavior with Comey and McCabe, but you don't need ironclad proof with anyone associated with Trump. You just connect the dots, and oh my God, they're guilty. Rosenstein authorized the DOJ, and then the DOJ said Rosenstein was not in a position to consider an vote. It doesn't matter. Now the Department of Justice is covering its behind. But it really doesn't matter whether we know Rosenstein wanted to wiretap Trump or tape Trump or that's irrelevant. I'm watching this Fox News. It's irrelevant. The point is you have 5 or 6 different scandals all coinciding at once. Something's going to break or crack. The edifice, this corrupt, criminal, they're going to buckle under the weight of their own corruption. There's too much going on. And then, think of all the things you have going on. Johnny 5, love you, HA. I'm still around, just trapped for cash. Johnny 5, thank you. Thank you for watching, Johnny 5. Always, thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. My God, just you watching is important to me, and thank you. Johnny 5, thank you, as always. Johnny 5, here are the different scandals. 1, there's still Clinton emails. 2, Clinton Foundation, Uranium One deal, and a whole bunch of other issues. 3, you have the Steele dossier and CrowdStrike purchased by Hillary Clinton, which was illegal to do so under campaign finance violations, under campaign finance laws. She didn't tell the FEC that she purchased documents and a company specifically to influence the election. And the Democrats, okay, so, and then there's $83 million that she funneled, or 80 plus million, from Democratic PACs and fundraising. But okay, then Nellie Orr getting exactly ham radio license. This is all going down. You have, you have Bruce and Nellie Orr working with Fusion GPS. You have Glenn Simpson. You have all of these things going that's never going to end. At the end of the day, it's all cover up for Clinton transferring top secret intelligence outside of the United States government. Then you have this issue. Then you have McCabe under criminal investigation. Then you have James Baker, the top FBI lawyer, under criminal investigation. Then you have James Comey, who leaked his memos, which is illegal to do. It is illegal to leak classified memos anywhere. He's not even protected under whistleblower protection. I mean, I'm not even talking about probably most of it. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. It's all going down. Johnny 5, thank you again. Thank you for always watching for so long. Thank you. It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen. It's all, and Matthew Whitaker is still staying at the Justice Department. Look, these investigations, it's not a matter of what happens. Generally, these types of, well, we're going to interview, we're going to have James Comey testify. At the end of the day, it comes down to, well, who's at risk of being indicted? Well, there's James Baker, the top FBI legal counsel. There's Andrew McCabe, who I just read a couple minutes ago. So Graham calls McCabe comments beyond stunning as he threatens to subpoena former FBI chief. He's going to subpoena Andrew McCabe. Let's see. James Baker. Former FBI lawyer James Baker detailed alleged discussions among senior FBI officials. So it's not just Andrew McCabe. It's James Baker also. Senior officials at the Justice Department. So who are these senior officials? Let's get them under oath. This is all going down, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be glorious. At the end of the day, Trump's going to win because you have a whole bunch of petulant people. I mean, the media was powerless to stop Trump from winning. The media will be powerless to stop Trump from getting actual retribution that correlates to justice. He'll get his retribution, and it'll just happen to correlate with justice. President Trump right now is the good guy. Once all of this is cleaned up and people around Clinton, including Clinton, get indicted, eventually she'll get indicted. Eventually. Once he removes or wrestles complete control away from the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, the media, then hopefully Trump won't overstep his boundaries. Then he could be not a sympathetic figure. Where people say, oh my God, you think he's a sympathetic figure? Oh my God, he's a bully. Next thing, no, the biggest bullies were actually Democrats. He won fair and square. And then they just had a meltdown of biblical proportions that never ended. And it's still not ending. It's like, and then you get like Don Cheadle and SNL last night wearing a Soviet Union jacket with Trump. It's like, that's already been discredited. There's zero evidence. He didn't hack the DNC to inform everyone that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Bernie Sanders was cheated. It wasn't Russia who did it. And the fact that we knew about it is not a Russian plot. That's another reason that I can't stand Bernie nowadays. He didn't have the courage. Rachel wins. Meet me in the trap. It's going down. Yes. Yes. Rachel wins. Thank you. Rachel wins. As always, thank you so very much for supporting my voice in this channel. Thank you, Rachel wins. It's going down. It's going down. We're going to get back to 1,000 person average live stream. There was a while where I was getting 1,000 people on average for live streams, and we're on the way now. Borracho wins. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Oh, I missed Bombastic Bushkin. Bombastic Bushkin! Hi, HA. Thank you for your tremendous insights. Love your posters today. Mighty fine. That's true. Love Marilyn Monroe. I love Marilyn Monroe. I do. I love Marilyn Monroe. Love, love, love. Bombastic Bushkin! Thank you. Borracho wins, as always. Thank you. Thank you. So let's see. James Baker in testimony. James Baker in testimony said that they plotted to oust Trump. That's hilarious. Andrew McCabe's like, yeah, it happened. Meanwhile, it's like complete damage control. And then let's just see what Lindsey Graham. Graham vows to investigate bureaucratic coup. Of course it was. Of course there was a bureaucratic coup. Of course. But then the issue is, what statutes did they break? There have to be statutes. So they have to link to statutes. Blackstar 444, thank you. Luke St. Martin, hello. Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing with this is you have James Baker, Andrew McCabe, all saying that, yeah, there was an attempt to oust Trump, to remove him from office. And this is interesting. Let's see. This is from his strategic and crisis communications consultant statement. Certain statements made by Mr. McCabe in interviews associated with the release of his book have been taken out of context and misrepresented. To clarify, at no time did Mr. McCabe participate in any extended discussion. Insurance policy. Insurance policy. What about the insurance policy communications crisis management person? What about Peter Strzok's insurance policy text meeting? What about then? What about that? Huh? So, to clarify, at no time did Mr. McCabe participate in any extended discussion about the use of the 25th Amendment, nor was he aware of any such discussions. Really? He was present and participated in the discussion that he was present. And so this is actually two sentences that contradict one another. He was present and participated in a discussion that included a comment. One comment? That's it? How do you just comment like one sentence? Hey, 25th Amendment? No. Sushi tonight? Or Mexican food? Which one is it? What did you just say? 25th Amendment? Let's go back to that. Oh, a comment. This anecdote was not included in the threat. Mr. McCabe was merely confirmed a discussion that was initially reported elsewhere. That makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. It's going down. George Bush Jr. Should we set up a pay-per-view slap? It probably would be between McCabe and Rod Rose. Exactly. That would be hilarious. I could bet anything that McCabe and Comey and none of them know how to fight or anything. They probably don't even have any firearms, extensive I mean, they're supposed to be obviously an expert if you're an FBI agent, but I wouldn't. I think I bet you that Comey and McCabe and all of them are subpar in that department. George Rivera Jr., thank you. Thank you as always. Thank you. Borracho wins. Thank you. So, look, this is important, and it sheds the more light there is on this, the better it is for Trump, and the easier it is to eventually get Clinton indicted. Clinton will eventually get indicted. And then, like, whatever. I can't get how people who are backing AOC think that it's a win. How is it a win? Even if, let's say, Amazon paid zero taxes, how is it a win when you would have 25,000 people paying city tax, or 40,000 people paying city tax, or 107,000 direct and indirect people paying city and state tax and federal tax? How is that a win? How is that a win? It's not a win. I mean, you have so many things going on right now. And Lindsey Graham, look, Lindsey Graham can make a name for himself. He would be a viable candidate in 2024 if he helps take all of these people down. He would be a viable candidate in 2024 if he takes all of these people. Are you listening, Senator Graham? Lindsey Graham needs to think of his political future, which he probably is. They all know. They all know. They all know that it was a setup, that they fabricated everything. They know all of this. They know all of this. And now it's just a matter of time, to tell you the truth. It's just a matter of time. Because the more you find out, the more we find out from all of this, the more we see that, well, this is worse than we could ever imagine. And there needs to be people. You can't just get people on crime. Yes, Andrew McCabe did lie under oath, and it all has to do with, he lied under oath specifically to benefit himself because his wife got money from Clinton donors, or Terry McAuliffe, who's a Clinton money man. But once people face the threat of jail time, then you're going to see the flip and the sing. Pilgrim driver. They all need to be indicted in a group RICO case, conspiring to take down a exactly. Pilgrim driver. Exactly. There have to be laws that prevent F.B.I. I can't list the legal statute, but there have to be legal statutes that prevent this from taking place. I would be shocked if there were no legal statutes that prevent this from taking place. Shallow informed. Ladies and gentlemen, Pilgrim driver, thank you very much. George Rivera Jr., thank you. Borracho wins, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Whether it's RICO statutes, I mean, there have to be something. There has to be something. Vowed on Sunday to investigate whether top officials of the Justice Department and FBI plotted an attempted bureaucratic coup. Rod Rosenstein is not in a good position right now because he has James Baker and McCabe both confirming. And how do you say, oh, I was just joking? Because Rosenstein stated it never happened. So who's lying? he stated it never happened. So which one is it? This is a New York Times article in September 21st, 2018. Rod Rosenstein suggested secretly recording Trump and discussed the 25th Amendment. So there you go. Lindsey Graham floats Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein subpoenas. I mean, look, the Senate Judiciary is a lot. That's actually a lot. He'll get a lot more information. The House is like, the House of Representatives just gets clowned all the time, whether it's left or right. I mean, there's just no information. I mean, for the life of them, they couldn't get anything. I mean, they tried. Strzok got gomered big time. Big time he got gomered. But at the end of the day, oh, by the way, check out my Second Amendment channel, HA Second Amendment. A lot of fully automatic firearms. Went to Vegas. And some really, really wonderful, 100% legal places. Wonderful people. And I got to try everything from a Browning automatic rifle, which is what my latest uploads, to just, M249s, M60 machine guns, MP5, Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine guns. Check that out, HA Second Amendment. And this is a series on, it's a series that I'm doing on video game firearms and video games. So definitely check that out. Thank you. Sell It Now Chosen. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, you have, and they don't care, by the way, like they're still trying to pump. You had like an actor on SNL with a Soviet shirt, like, no. It was President Obama who didn't veto 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. So, like, Democrats are the ones who presided over not only a Russia reset, not only the fact that almost certainly Russia hacked Clinton's server, because we know China did, but you have a situation where 20% of U.S. uranium capacity was given to Vladimir Putin through a deal that was approved by the Obama administration, and he could have vetoed the deal. The one person who could have vetoed the deal, who was in a position to veto the deal, and this is a fact, even Snopes and fact checker, was President Obama. Not Hillary Clinton, fine, but guess what? Money flowed into the Clinton Foundation. Could you imagine if Trump sold uranium to Putin right now and money flowed into his foundation and he met with Putin a couple years back like Clinton did? Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin. Oh, and by the way, a Republican was lobbying on behalf of Uranium One. Could you imagine if the tables were completely turned? And then they're like, oh, the national emergency. It's like, well, the courts are not going to strike it down because it's very easy to prove. All you have to do is talk about the atrocities and the trafficking and all the things taking place at that location. Then you prove it to the courts. They're not going. No one's going to own that. No one's going to own and say, well, no, you know what? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Graham calls McCabe comments beyond stunning as he threatens to subpoena former FBI chief. This is hilarious because McCabe says it happened. Rosenstein says it didn't happen. James Baker says it happened. James Comey will go any way that is convenient for him. All of the while, you got to believe, well, Clinton probably is just drinking in the woods. She just thinks that she'll never, ever get indicted, along with all the wonderful people who want to, fight the system. I don't understand something. how do you, if you're a pundit, or how do you pretend to fight the system without demanding that Clinton get indicted for her crimes? I don't get that. I do not get that at all. You're gonna fight the system. Theta Naya! Thank you, Theta. Who would be two cabinet members that were supposed to? Let's ask Lisa Page. Lisa Page, that's right. Well, actually, didn't she say, Theta, thank you as always for your support of this channel. Thank you, Theta Naya. Didn't she say, Lisa Page, didn't she say something to the effect that she was privy to conversations? I'm not sure about the Trump. I think Strzok, regarding Strzok wanting to take down Trump. Lisa Page conversation. One FBI text message in Russia probe that should alarm every American. This is John Solomon, who's amazing. Oh, when Strzok said there's no big there. There's no big there. There. This was okay, which is hilarious because they were actually convincing themselves of a fabricated plot that they went after. So they're like, oh, well, maybe we could just try to see if he worked with Russia. Then they're like, there's no big there. Let's just continue. Page Strzok conspired to leak anti-Trump stories to media. Of course they did. This is so overtly corrupt. You cannot, and the media makes it worse. Thank you, Theta Naya. Yeah, Lisa Page. Big time. Theta Naya. Oh my God, the typo. Hold on. What was it? Who would it? Theta Naya, thank you. Theta Naya, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for supporting this channel, supporting my voice. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. It's going down, ladies and gentlemen. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. It is going down. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page conspired to leak anti-Trump stories to media. Rod Rosenstein discusses 25th Amendment. Hillary Clinton transferred top secret intelligence. My God. My God. Mueller probe deletes Strzok Page texts. I mean, are you kidding me? All of this is going down. All of this is going down. They found nothing after 2 years. It's an obvious setup. It was an obvious setup. And I mean, just from the perspective of my voice in this channel, AOC is like a godsend to Trump. I mean, she's heaven sent. I mean, you're not really fighting the system. You're focusing on Amazon, especially when they don't even change their behavior, is not battling the system. You can pretty much rest assured that people within Bernie and AOC's campaigns and within their offices buy stuff on Amazon. Everyone buys 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 stuff on Amazon. And I would love to see what AOC has purchased on Amazon the past 10 years. Do you think Bernie and AOC, those two individuals, do you think they've purchased more than 10 items on Amazon the past 5 years combined? Press 1 if you think combined those two have purchased more than 10 items on Amazon in the past 5 years. Eric H526, right? Of course. Of course. Of course they That would be unbelievable to see what AOC is. If she's like Amazon Prime. if like you, it's like all their campaigns are like Amazon Prime, and like they get like, you know, special two-day shipping. Look, I'm all for mom and pop stores, and I understand that Walmart and Amazon have, you know, heard a lot of oh my God. I've heard a lot of you know, but on the other end of the equation, they drive the cost of products down so that Americans who don't make $150,000 a year, which is what Amazon would have brought to Long Island City, can afford this. Can afford whatever they want to buy. Exactly. Sovereignty. Exactly. That Amazon issue, and they're like, well, they paid zero taxes. It's like, what are you talking about? Who cares? Everyone else, the job creation alone would have led to billions in tax revenue. Billions. You would have 107,000 direct and indirect jobs. 107,000. And the corporations that would be utilized to who aren't as big as Amazon to construct the building and all that stuff. They you know, they're not as big as Amazon to be able to pay no taxes. But let's just see. New York City tax, Amazon couldn't get out of. Will the backlash against Amazon's New York tax breaks kill other deals? It's like, if it does, then communities are hurting themselves. You're not benefiting. Look, you haven't benefited your community. Even if Amazon pays zero taxes, just from the 25 to 40,000 to 107,000 indirect and direct jobs, your community would have benefited tremendously from not only the employment, like life doesn't revolve around taxes. Tell people on the left, life doesn't revolve around taxes. It's also wealth creation. Ever heard of wealth creation? All the same pundits, like, okay, this is, you know, great, no problem. But there's a wonderful channel on, you know, this medium that got $20 million in venture capital funding. Okay. 20 million. They didn't get funded through taxes. So there's like, you know, you have like, you're talking about economic growth, economic activity, economic growth and activity. And Cuomo's deal, Cuomo's deal. I mean, so sorry, Cuomo's commissioned a study where just in terms of the New York City tax, so the New York tax would be $13 billion. So they couldn't get out of that. You can't get out of it's like, it's very difficult to get out of city tax for any corporation. You'd have to pay the city tax. It's the federal tax that they slither away from. 107,000 here. Okay, so here, hold on one second. If you look at the document, if you look at the study commissioned by Democrats, okay. Where is Amazon's new headquarters would expand the state's tax base. President value $9 billion. 64% would become from individual income taxes. Only 7% from corporate taxes. of the money that they're talking about. So if I'm reading this right, a small percentage of the gigantic tax revenue they're going to get is just from Amazon alone. This is hilarious. We estimate the project will generate a present value of $9 billion in additional revenues over the analysis period, of which 64% comes from individual income taxes. But then they list 27 billion total. So this is just, it's like they're so proud of them. It's like, we did it. It's like, what did you do? You didn't do anything. You actually hurt the people. Even if Amazon paid zero taxes, they would still, just from the economic activity, the community would benefit tremendously. Hold on, let's see. City tax here. The study estimates $14 billion in new state tax revenue alone over the next 25 years, separate from New York City's estimate in $13 billion in city revenue. $13 billion in city revenue. We're not talking about corporate tax. We're talking about New York City. Okay, LA, New York, you pay income tax just in your city. Okay, most cities don't have that. Then you pay state tax. Then you pay federal tax. You're taxed up to you know what? You're taxed up to you know what? Okay, so $13 billion in city tax. They're not going to get out of the city tax. Okay? Amazon was able to get out of federal or corporate tax, but you still have to pay the city tax. And the estimate here is separate from New York City's estimate of $13.5 billion. New York City estimated $13.5 billion in new city revenue. That's not just from Amazon. Geniuses. They're like it's like only the biggest imbeciles, and they think they're morally superior. Like, yeah, we did it. Okay. The city tax. It's not just the corporate tax, it's city tax of $13 billion. It says right here. The study estimates $14 billion in new state tax revenue. I don't know how they were going to get out of New York state tax, but fine. Let's say they got out of New York state tax. You would still get $13.5 billion in city tax. Get it? Is this mic on? People don't get it. They're like, paid zero in Texas. Zero in Texas. That doesn't talk about the economic benefit of the entire tax revenue that would be generated. My God. The study estimates $14 billion in new tax revenue alone over the next 25 years. Okay. Oh, but they were going to get out of it. Okay, fine. They wouldn't have most of it. But anyway, they wouldn't have gotten out of most of it. But anyway, separate from New York City's estimate of $13.5 billion in new city revenue. That's because they get taxed in the city. Oh, my God. Zero taxes. Yeah, and what? He got zero taxes. They have no right to go in there and give 25,000 to 40,000 to 107,000 new jobs. They paid zero taxes. But they would have paid $13 billion in city tax. What? They paid zero taxes. But see, the city tax is different from the corporate tax they pay in the federal government. City wouldn't be able to get out of easily. And they paid zero taxes. It says $13.5 billion. This is a Democratic Party study. Cuomo commissioned this study and paid zero taxes. But the city tax, I'm saying city tax, focus, city. And paid zero taxes. What about all the taxes of the people of the 107,000 people, direct and indirect jobs, they paid zero corporate tax. Bodily fluids in bottles. But what are you doing about the bodily fluids in bottles? Did you see what they did? Bodily fluids in bottles. Even if the city was giving them a tax break, who cares? You're still getting billions. So let's say you get 2 billion instead of 13 billion. Let's say you get 5 billion. It doesn't matter. You're talking about 107,000 direct and indirect jobs. Taxes is not, look, you cannot tax a good economy. That's not the way it works. Fine, let's say he lied, but this is a study commissioned by Cuomo. Just basic logic. Let's say it's not 13 billion. If you have 107,000 jobs created, let's say you have 25,000. Let's just with 25,000 employees. Let's say 25,000 employees that come from other locations. Nobody within the community gets the job. You're still getting 25,000 people who make $150,000 a year, and each of the 25,000 have to pay city, state, and federal taxes. And you would have had tax revenue for the community. But now you don't. Because we're going to fight the oligarchy. Yeah. Oh my God, the oligarchy is so upset now. The oligarchy moved to Nashville. Where honestly, like if I'm Amazon, I'd much rather go to Nashville. Much rather. Why would I spend not just the negative like craziness? I'd much rather go to a place where you weren't taxed up to you know what. But I mean, there was obvious prestige to being in New York. He wanted to consolidate power. He owned the Washington Post. So all of that. It's so funny, too, because the guy's like, I got the Washington Post. I have the media and the Democratic Party in the palm of my hand. What? But this is actually going to help your community. No, but you're actually not doing anything. No, you're not fighting the system. I would have given 107,000. No, the taxes would have gone up. It doesn't matter if we paid zero taxes. The tax revenue would have gone up. Oh, the heck with it. I'm going to Nashville. Fine, you won. You made less money for everyone. Congratulations. You have less of everything. You have less of everything. Congratulations. You did it. Fluids in bottles. Fluids in bottles. Zero taxes. Separate from the New York City. Well, let's just assume he's not lying. He's lying. It's like, no, not everything that you hear is a lie. This is a Democratic Party commission study. Okay? So which one is it now? Is this like a right-wing lie? Separate from the New York City's estimate of $13.5 billion in new city revenue, a cup of coffee in New York is like $4. A cup of coffee. And the economic activity would have increased tremendously. The tax revenue base would have increased tremendously. You would have had more money for schools, more money for subways, more money for bridges, more money for people. You would have had more money in people's pockets because people would be employed. Everybody from janitorial services to mom and pop shops to food trucks to tailors to retail to just cleaning the window cleaning companies, everything. They would have gone to whatever, every Office Depot, and then if there's a mom and pop shop right there, so whatever. Everything would have been, and from an economic sense, better. They paid zero taxes. That doesn't mean that the community wouldn't have benefited. And then even Amazon's like, we paid $200 million in taxes. So, and then like they're there forever. So like Democrats are like, think that Trump's going to be around forever, which he'll be there for 8 years. But let's say there'll be Democratic administrations that increase corporate tax. Okay. At the end of the day, they're not going to pay zero tax forever. But that doesn't talk about the city tax. And it also doesn't talk about the taxes of 107,000 people who work, who would have had jobs. It's just never ending. That's all I can tell you. Really does. Tina Bobina! Someone counted that there were union issues too. But see, okay, let's say Amazon doesn't have a union, obviously, right? So, but you would still have union work on Amazon construction of the building. Unions would be employed. Let's see. Let's see. Closed door meeting preceded Amazon's pullout. Even though organized split, okay, showdown between Bastion and organized union with the nation's largest company. Unions were divided. I don't know how this would have hurt unions. It doesn't even really say how this would have hurt unions. All right. At the end of the day, you haven't. This is what the thing. Whatever negatives there were, you haven't addressed them as a political movement on the left. Amazon is still going to conduct its business the way it always has. They're not going to change. And what you've done essentially is forced out 107,000 direct and indirect jobs, according to according to USA Today, and at the very least, 13.5 billion in tax revenue, which is separate from the 14 billion in state revenue. Give me your thoughts below. The FBI, Andrew McCabe, all of this is going down, and it's going to be amazing, and it's awesome. Check out HA Second Amendment. Check out my Federalist article below in the pinned comment. And ladies and gentlemen, watch this channel throughout the day, and definitely this week's going to be awesome. Thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you again for supporting my voice. Thank you.